Anyway, 4n plus 6 equals 2t. Okay, then you...
Yeah, then
What's next? 2t minus, so divide by 2, divide by 2. So t equals
4n plus 6 over 2.
Wait, 523.
You can't divide one of them. Be careful of that. One of the things that they'll do right there is they'll try to get you to make that mistake. If I wanted to take this right here and say 2 times 2n plus 3 over 2 and cancel out that way, I could. But you cannot, don't do this now. Don't cancel out that 2 with just partially 6. If they had reduced it down to 2n plus 3, that would have been an acceptable answer. But the whole point of this problem is that they're trying to get you to do right here is they're trying to get you to cancel 2 out with that 6. You can't do that. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, if I ask you what 10 plus 5 over 2 is, 10 plus 5 over 2. 10 plus 5 over 2 is 15 over 2. Well, what if I took 2 into the 10? That would leave me with 5 plus 5. That's not the same thing. 15 over 2 is not the same thing as 10. So you can't do that. So that's kind of what they're trying to trick you into messing up right there and doing. Okay? Which equation is equivalent to this thing solved for y? In other words, put it in slope-intercept form. 6 times x is 6x. Very good. Plus 24 equals times y is plus. Excellent. So now I got to get this stuff by myself. So I want to move the 10 to the other side. When I move the 10 to the other side, that leaves me 2y equals 6x plus 14. Notice I kind of moved it. I kind of swapped everything on the sides right there. 6x plus 14 equals 2y. I just took the 2y and put it on the other side so that when I finished, I would end up with an equation that was in slope-intercept form. What's the next step? So y equals 3x plus 7. Probably another way they'll say this too, guys, is they'll have this right here and they'll ask you to compare something that's maybe parallel to it. What does parallel mean? Same slope. What's the slope of this line? Not 3x, 3. Let's circle this one, forget about it, and go on. Because you could have made a mistake in identifying your negative 2. So go ahead and make sure in a problem like this, because this is one, guys, we got to get it right. So the slope is 1, and that holds true with the answer of C. What I'm trying to help you with here is how you go ahead and take an EOCT. Again, same concept. Don't plug in one point and go, hey, 1 point works, so what does it matter that I try the other problems? So if I plug in 1 plus 1, I get 2. That one doesn't work. 1 plus 2 is 3. That one doesn't work. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is positive 1, so the answer's got to be D. Be careful doing stuff like that, guys, because you could make a mistake trying 1 point. But if you try a bunch of points, you're going to be better off. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. 2 times 4 is minus 5 is 3. 2 times 5 is 10. Minus 3 is 7. I also want you to notice this, guys. Look, the rise, which is the change in y, over the run, which is the change in the x values. Guys, the change in x, and the definition of change in y over change in x is the slope. Okay, so it's 2. Guys, all that happens is phone go. Let's go. Come on, work through it. 2 over 1. So the slope is 2 over 1. Again, if you look, only two of these problems has a slope of 2 over 1, so that kind of, you messed up. Because that doesn't work every time. See, so what I'm trying to get you to see is the distractors are made up to have something about them to be true. So the one that works is D. A lot of you had the work where you even plugged in all the points. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, you said 2 times negative 1, 2 times 1 minus 3 is negative 1. You wrote 6 equal sign, but you never said D. Again, guys, make sure we're doing the answers for it. Here's a problem. Just looking at this, when I draw my line in here, I notice it has a y-intercept of negative 1. It has a slope of up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1. So the one of these equations that has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of negative 1 is A. Again, a common way to ask this question is not to ask you the slope of this line. They're not going to give you an equation like this a lot of times. They'll give you an equation like this and ask you the slope of the line parallel. Remember, if they said the slope of the line parallel, you know that parallel lines would have the same slope, so the other equation would have to have a 2 of the slope. If they said perpendicular slope, what's the slope of the line that's perpendicular to this one? If this is 2 over 1, the perpendicular slope would be good, negative 1/2. Again, the way I found perpendicular slope is I take these 2 numbers right here, I do 2 things to them. I flip it, I flip those 2 numbers, and I make it negative. Because if you miss this one, I'm kind of struggling with you being able to read the problem, because right there's the points. It says, based on the table, which has the common points. So, again, this was one of those things I talked about yesterday. Probably a better question, a question that finds out more, is that they give you these 2 tables right here, and then they might ask you what the categories of the system was. So, name this system. Is it consistent and dependent? Is it consistent and independent, or is it inconsistent? Well, based on what we had yesterday, guys, the single conversation that's going on should be up here. Based on the conversation that we had yesterday, it's consistent. The reason it's consistent is because it has solutions. How many solutions does this thing have? 1. Guys, it doesn't have 2. There are 2 parts to the solution, because the 2 parts, the 2 coordinates, 2, 3, represent the 1 point where these 2 lines intersect. So it's a consistent and independent system. As we seem to be struggling with this concept, guys, there's not but 3 issues. 3. Not 15,000. There's 3. I 100% guarantee you, if I brought 3 different animals in here and set them up here, every one of them could point to which and probably name them all. You started out when you were a little kid with the little thing that formed and went around and stuff like that. The same skill is necessary to identify systems. But you have to know what it is that makes each one of those things what they are. A consistent and independent system has 1 solution. A consistent and dependent system, they're right on top of each other and they have infinitely many solutions, which brings us to parallel lines, which have how many solutions? None. So it's inconsistent. All right? Guys, it's basically the same exact problem 5 times. It's a matter of 3 times. It's a matter of picking out the points that work the equation. today's first question, look at today's first question. It's a completely different type question, but it's the same concept. What you have to do is identify those angles are 70 plus 50 plus this other angle that we don't know what it is gives you 180 degrees. So 70 plus 50, or excuse me, 20 plus 50 is 70. So move it over to the other side, x equals 110. Guys, again, what I'm trying to show you and why I want to see this right here is because my expectation for you next week when you write this out or you work this problem out is you write something out, guys, on your scratch paper. Don't just look at the answers and go, oh, boom, there's C, and move on to the next problem, because part of these things now is making up good distractors. And the distractors sometimes get us thinking about, oh, those two had to get into the 70, so that's why 70 was a choice. Because you get that on your mind as you read through the problem without writing something down. They're trying to get you working too fast, and there's too much going on, and you forget what the correct answer is right there. All right. What is the solution to the equation P equals 2L plus 2W when solved for W? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to write that out. P equals 2L plus 2W. If I'm solving it for W, that means I want to move everything away from the W. So how do I move a positive 2L on the right? Comes a negative 2L on the left. Okay, now on 10marks.com, guys, you'll see if you go there tonight, and you guys that want some extra practice on, these are called literal equations. I put some on there so you can practice this skill right here. You're trying to solve for W, and right now you have 2 times W. So if it says 2 times W, I need to divide by. So when I divide by 2, that gives me my answer, P minus 2L over 2. So there's my answer. You okay? Hold off on this question. Hold off on 8 right here. I'll get back with you on 8. Just skip 8, guys. That'll be a question we'll go over tomorrow if we have to. We're going to run out of time if I don't hustle here. So, Emily wants to solve the equation AX minus W equals 3 for W. In other words, get W by itself. If I've got to end up with W by itself, then what needs to be moved? AX. If I move AX to the other side. Very good. Negative W equals negative AX plus 3.
Divide by negative 1.
Divide by negative 1, both sides. So W equals, what does it do to the negative? What does it do to
minus 3.
Which equation is equivalent to this? Guys, if you ever have to solve a problem that has fractions in it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing this first, guys. Fraction problems, the fraction can be eliminated by multiplying every single math word right here. Every single term by the common denominator. What happens when I multiply 7x over 4 by 8? What cancels out? How many times does 4 go into 8? What's 2 times 7? How many times does 8 go into 8? So minus 3x equals 11 times 8. So 11x equals 88. You okay?